Okay, I think I had enough light, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off to see how it looks. I think the natural light in the room. I think I can work with that. Let me see if I can do something else here, just to make an adjustment. Here we go. Let me find this button here. Gotta get do a little bit more therapy on my fingers here. It seems reasonable. Okay, I can work with that. Uh, so I, I titled this Rejection, and I'm going to talk about that. But before I get into that, I'm just going to read something that I wrote, and I've submitted it as maybe a letter, comments, letter to the editor, comments, whatever. Just kind of posting kind of like a broad overall general sentiment of things as far as where my head is at. So I'm going to read it here, and just kind of put it out there. Any comments want to be made or anything like that, certainly welcome. But first and foremost, and this is something I've been saying for a while, we have to admit to ourselves that we're really nothing more than animals. Um, y- y- and you really have to think deep about what that means. You really have to go inside and because we have been conditioned so much to believe that we're greater than animals, that it's sort of a systemic thing, and the way we behave and the way we process our thoughts in our head, and we're not. And so this is really an important point, an important distinction to make. And I remember sort of in my early days in high school and college and having these discussions about, what communication means, and communication is in fact something that indicates an intelligence of a higher order. And there's degrees in which you look at these and things and perspectives. Of course, if you look at it in a very nuanced and close frame, it's going to seem to be very important. But the more you remove yourself out of that process and take yourself up and above, you see how little it means. It's a very life thing. I'll get more into that. So first and foremost, we must admit to ourselves that we're animals. We're not special. Okay, the fact that a person is reading these written words is not indication of any special skill that's attributable to some magical entity or a god of any sort. It's simply a matter of an evolution of a skill. And again, we tend to compartmentalize things, we sort of separate our eyes from our ears and our touch. And so when we do that, we kind of tend to forget that really our entirety sensory field is integrated. And so everything that comes out is sort of a manifestation of that totality. These are all just repetitions of numbers, just kind of, like a computer, like a binary system. It's just repeating and repeating instances. And, we're each sort of like these, um, you know, it's just a process. Everything changes. Change is inevitable. Life is a process, and we're part of that process. And we see this, and it's an inevitable fact. You know, um, the other thing is that we don't have all the answers, and we're still incredibly far from having all the answers. I dare seriously doubt we ever will manage to have make any significant dent. I mean, it does look like we know a lot of shit. I mean, we just the mere fact that we're sending a spaceship to the moon. But again, this is we have to take ourselves out of the picture and realize that there's a number of things there's more that we don't know than we know, and that's the bottom line. Now there are and so we don't have really, as far as we honestly can see. Okay, we don't have any specific purpose except to be, to live, to be alive. And I take that, to be alive as long as possible. That would be our specific purpose, to keep the candle burning as long as you can. Um, but for some reason, there are others that, for a variety of nonsensical reasons, they believe that certain rules exist. They believe in servitude to a higher power. They've convinced themselves of the existence of an imaginary being that needs to be placated, that needs to be praised. How absurd. And something that compels them to lie to themselves and to others, to the horrible detriment of society at large. I mean, convincing people to believe in something that is not real is bad. And that's why we're experiencing all the bad things that we're experiencing right now. And people are scared of that fact. They're scared of not having the answer. Um, so, the reasons, it's just general fear, ignorance, obstinacy, or even, more of a predatory type of reaction where, opportunistic in the sense it's like, well, if I know something that other people don't know, then I can take advantage of that. I didn't write that. That would be something good to include, but it's maybe a variety of feelings that get in the way of one inevitable truth. And there's no one human being alive today owns an absolute truth. Uh, that means that all the religions that profess to have the key to eternal existence they're nothing more than pipe dreams. They're made up. These are just this is stuff that is made up and sort of woven, and you start with the thread and then the needle and the cloth, and you start to create this fabric that then you say, well, it exists, look at it, it's there, it's made, you know um so uh you know the relative truth that manifests itself currently, it has us alive, aware, and able to manipulate our environment on a sphere that's suspended in space, along with an immeasurable number of physical phenomena that we're able to study for a finite period of time. No one can escape finality. We are finite beings. We have a beginning and we have an end. That's it. There's nothing beyond that. Don't believe that there's nothing worth it. That's because why even bother thinking about something that's beyond? Why not focus on the present? Okay. Um, so that being the case, it really would seem natural to follow that we should try to extend, this period of awareness as long as possible. That we should do all in our power to extend the life that has basically we've been thrust into. We didn't volunteer into the situation or anything like that. We have been brought into this situation, and that's always a good area of conversation as well, because that can help us highlight some things. We should take care of our bodies. Like well-oiled machines, smoking and chewing nicotine should be avoided. It's been proven to shorten lifespans. I mean, it's medically known. Drinking alcohol should be avoided. It's known to damage internal organs, to creates addiction, dependency, and also bloating and fattening. More physical activity should be adopted because this stimulates our metabolism. Which in turn stimulates the metabolism of our brain. In addition, we should avoid excessive indulgences. We should avoid a sedentary lifestyle. The majority of people do quite the opposite of this, of what we're supposed to do logically. Nearly half the USA population is obese right now. This should be a source of shame, really, more than anything. This obesity is, in most cases, nothing less than the physical manifestation of self destructive behavior. It's a lifestyle choice. It's also a physical manifestation of complacency, of satisfaction, and really the is the lack of mobility and exercising effort, and starting to think that we can do everything with our brains and our bodies are not needed. And perhaps some people are evolving into being more capable of operating with their brains than they are with their bodies. I don't know, who knows, but you know uh, with all this in mind, I do find it kind of hypocritical for there to be individuals that want to strip women of basically a fundamental right to their body's autonomy. Maybe many individuals that are attempting to legislate abortion are really incapable of acknowledging some of their own profound failures as humans and their shortcomings. Quite frankly, there are real lives with long-term experiences of personal connections being destroyed every day because of our collective weakness, because of our cowardice, our greed, our ignorance, our negligence, and a host of other shortcomings that basically keeps us from confronting the real issues. Alcohol kills more people than anything that I know. Smoking kills more people, but we don't do anything about it. Why? Because, well, that's the rejection part. But there are legislators that are primarily males that are more interested in maligning a medical procedure that can benefit the health of an individual rather than targeting the manufacturers of gun, alcohol, or tobacco. These items are much more detrimental to lives than abortion. A study published in the journal Scientific Reports in 2015, for example, suggests that marijuana is approximately 114 times less deadly than alcohol. Less deadly than alcohol. But we have cowards that basically would rather interfere with a legitimate medical process and trying to control women than confront a national health crisis caused by alcohol that would cause a large uproar. See, that's the fear, that's the cowardice that, oh, I don't want to be a bad guy telling people that they shouldn't drink and we're going to limit alcohol intake or whatever the case may be. This is something that needs to be thought about. The heartbeat bill is an affront to any reasonable person with reasonable critical thinking skills or tools that subscribes to the fundamental principles of the Constitution. It is patently absurd. It's egregiously ignorant, and it's based on primitive superstition, and it's debatable morality. This bill, and there's other similars that are making their way through the legislative halls of in Tallahassee, are really the hallmark of autocrats and dictators. And I do think that we can do better than this. So yes, when I'm talking about rejection, what I'm talking about is basically the fear, that we're a society that's basically sort of created itself to affirm the right for self-indulgence and the right to greed and to personal accumulation. And that's what obesity represents, is this physical manifestation of that. Okay. And so uh, but for some odd, we are scared of the mass. We are scared of the mass that wants to hedonistically just sort of just ravage the landscape. So it's a time where we really should fear rejection less. And that's part of the reason of what I do here, is because I know that what I'm doing is going to be rejected. And I want to have that experience because I think it's important for me to experience it, because the more you experience rejection, the more you can solidify, the essence of who you are. I've been doing this, I've been on this kind of journey for a while. Again, it's been really, the way I've told most people, it really began when Trump became president, because at that point in time, my entire world was shattered. I never would have believed that a person like Trump could become president. And so at that point, I had to rebuild myself. I died, and then I had to rebuild my persona. That included shedding all of the shit that I had absorbed throughout my entire lifetime. And I came to the conclusions that that have been really that I found to be incredibly liberating and made me feel incredibly fantastic, despite all the shit that is happening right now. So I don't fear rejection at all. In fact, I welcome rejection because I know, where my standing is right now. I really have a firm conviction, and I am in earnest. Well, I'll just put it out there. If somebody can fast track my passport and send me to Ukraine to help somewhere close to the front lines in any capacity whatsoever, I will gladly go and do that. I will volunteer for that because I know I was made for that. I was made to fight for something like that. Anyway, take it easy. Have a good day. Have a great one, and stay safe. Whatever you do, and be smart.